Over the last few years, a quiet alliance of automakers, lobbyists, and federal regulators basically rewrote the rules of car ownership without ever asking for your permission. New vehicles cost more than they ever have, and they are breaking down faster than ever. Automakers spent $25 million to make it effectively illegal for you to fix your own car. AI is taking over the wheel, and government is mandating a federal kill switch that can shut your car off while you are driving. In this video, I am going to show you exactly what is happening and what you can do before it is too late. Let's start with something that sounds insane, because it is. In 2022, BMW tested a subscription model in several countries that charged drivers $18 a month just to use heated seats. Not navigation, not satellite data, heated seats. The coils were already inside the seat. The wiring was already there. BMW simply used software to block access until owners paid monthly.
BMW recently rolled out subscription plans to overseas that require owners to pay a monthly fee for heated front seats.
The backlash was massive, and BMW pulled back, but the strategy did not disappear. Automakers just got quieter. Here is what they do not want you to understand. They no longer see you as a customer. They see you as a user. A customer buys once. A user pays forever. GM is doing it with OnStar features like remote lock, fuel checks, and app access, now hidden behind monthly plans. Ford does it with Blue Cruise. You get a short trial, then you pay to keep using hardware already built into the vehicle. Tesla takes it further. Full self-driving can cost monthly or thousands up front, yet software updates can change those features overnight. Stellantis is doing it too, locking remote start, Wi-Fi, and connected features behind subscriptions. This is the future they want. Cars you buy once, but keep paying for forever. They're making it illegal to fix your own car. Subscriptions are frustrating, but you can technically live without heated seats. What you cannot live without is the ability to fix your car when it breaks. And that is exactly what automakers are trying to take away next. Modern vehicles now run on more than 100 million lines of code, but almost none of that code belongs to you. You cannot read it. You cannot change it. You cannot work around it. You may own the vehicle, but the software controlling it is still locked behind the manufacturer's wall. To understand where this is headed, look at what happened to American farmers. For years, John Deere locked farmers out of repairing their own tractors using proprietary software. A farmer could have a tractor sitting on his own land during harvest season and still be unable to fix a basic sensor failure without calling the dealer. He had to wait for an authorized technician, pay whatever labor rate the dealer demanded, and lose valuable time while his equipment sat useless. He owned the machine, but John Deere still controlled it. After years of pressure, John Deere signed a right to repair agreement in 2023. But even that agreement had limited enforcement, and farmers have continued reporting lockout problems. That is the roadmap for your next car. Ford, GM, and Stellantis are already moving in that direction. Their diagnostic systems increasingly require dealer-only software for basic repairs, resetting control modules, programming replacement keys, calibrating sensors, replacing electronic parts. These are not exotic repairs anymore. These are normal repairs on modern vehicles, and an independent mechanic with 20 years of experience can still be locked out if the manufacturer does not grant access. That means the dealer becomes your only option. And when the dealer is your only option, the dealer controls the price. ADAS systems make this even worse. Lane keep assist, automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitoring, and adaptive cruise control all rely on cameras, radar, sensors, and software. After a minor fender bender, a bumper replacement, or even a windshield replacement, those systems may need precise calibration. The equipment to do that calibration can cost $10,000 to $50,000. Many independent shops cannot afford it, so they turn the job away. You go back to the dealer. The manufacturer wins again. Now automakers are looking at the OBD port, that little connector under your dashboard that mechanics use to read check engine codes. That cheap scanner from Amazon that tells you what is wrong with your car? Manufacturers want to gate that too. They want third-party scanners to require permission just to pull basic codes. If that happens, independent repair becomes nearly impossible. That is a huge problem, because independent shops handle roughly 70% of post-warranty vehicle repairs in America. They are the competition keeping dealer labor rates from going completely unchecked. Lock them out, and that 70% disappears. Every repair flows back through the dealer network. Dealer prices, dealer timelines, no real competition, and the excuse that modern vehicles are too complex does not hold up. Small aftermarket companies have already taught regular people how to rebuild and upgrade modern 8 and 10-speed transmissions at home using free educational materials. If a small team can do that, major automakers can too. They just do not want to. The kill switch mandate. The government can now stop your car. Now we get to the part most drivers have never even heard about. Because it was buried inside a massive 2,700-page bill almost nobody read. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act includes a mandate called Section 24,220. It requires new vehicles sold in the United States after 2026 to include passive drunk and impaired driver prevention technology. On the surface, that sounds reasonable. Nobody wants impaired drivers on the road. But when you look closer, this is not a breathalyzer you blow into before starting the engine. This is passive monitoring. That means the system runs in the background every time you drive, without you doing anything. NHTSA is still writing the technical standards, but the technologies being discussed include driver-facing cameras watching your eyes and face, steering sensors tracking your response patterns, and biometric systems reading physical signals from your body. In other words, your car is no longer just driving, it is watching. And if the computer decides your behavior looks wrong, it can act before you ever get a chance to explain. Before anyone dismisses this, understand that remote vehicle control already exists. GM's OnStar system has documented remote slowdown capability, and law enforcement has used it to help stop stolen vehicles during police pursuits. A remote signal can reduce throttle and bring a vehicle to a stop. So the question is not whether remote control is possible. It already is. The real question is who controls it, how it is used, and what happens when the system gets it wrong. Think about how often human DUI arrests are challenged or thrown out because an officer made a mistake. Now imagine a computer inside your car making that judgment instantly, with no appeal, no due process, and no override while you were on the road. One engineer described hooking a horse trailer to a newer Ram truck. He opened the door and shifted into reverse, which is common when lining up with a trailer. The truck immediately went into a safety lockout mode. He was stuck in the middle of a rural highway because the vehicle decided his behavior was unsafe. In that case, it was inconvenient. In the wrong situation, it could be dangerous. And here is the bigger issue. Once you build a system that monitors driver behavior and can disable a vehicle based on what it detects, that system can be expanded. The same camera watching for impairment can watch for other behavior. The same shutdown function used for safety can receive different instructions. The same data recorder storing crash information can store much more if the rules change. Rivian's own data policy already says interior cameras can monitor occupants, and that data may be used under the company's terms. This is not distant science fiction. These systems are being built right now, while the final rules are still being written. If you're finding this information helpful, please hit like button and subscribe. The data grab. Your car is already spying on you. Here's something that's already happening, not coming in 2026, but happening today in vehicles already on the road. Event data recorders are required in virtually every vehicle made after 2014. They record your speed, throttle position, brake application, and steering input in the seconds surrounding a crash. In most states, law enforcement can access that data without a warrant. Your car is already keeping records that can be used against you in a court of law. You never specifically agreed to this. The technology was just in there when you bought the vehicle, and it's expanding. Stellantis, the parent company of Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and Chrysler, is now leasing advertising space inside the infotainment system. You bought the vehicle. You're making payments on it, and there are ads in it that you can't remove. Can you imagine buying a house and having advertisements built into the walls that you're not allowed to take down? That's where we are with cars. The automotive industry is buying NVIDIA AI chips by the truckload and installing them in vehicles. The stated reason is safety and driver assistance. But when you combine always-on cameras, biometric monitoring, real-time data transmission, and AI processing, what you've actually built is a surveillance platform on wheels, and the impaired driver detection mandate becomes the perfect legal cover. Once that system is law, manufacturers can argue that all of this data must flow continuously to their servers for safety compliance. And once that argument is in the law, they can claim it's impossible to give independent shops or car owners access to any of it, because it's all connected to the safety system. It becomes the perfect excuse to lock everything down permanently. Corporate gang stalking. That's what it is. The same companies telling you that you'll die if you fix your own car are the ones putting cameras in your vehicle without telling you they're watching. What you can actually do right now. So what is the move? Because this is not just something to complain about. There are real, practical steps you can take right now. but the window is closing fast. First, buy older vehicles. Trucks from the mid-2000s to the early 2010s hit a sweet spot that is getting harder to find. A pre-2005 Toyota Tacoma, a 2012 Ford F-150 with the 5.0 Coyote engine, a pre-2014 GM truck with an LS engine. These vehicles are mechanically proven, parts are everywhere, and independent shops can still work on them without begging the manufacturer for software access. They do not have driver-facing cameras watching your face. They do not require subscription access for basic features. You can scan them with a cheap OBD2 reader, diagnose problems yourself, and take them to almost any mechanic in town. That window is shrinking. Clean examples are already going up in value because people are realizing something important. Older vehicles actually belong to you. Second, buy a basic OBD2 scanner. Right now, for about $30, you can still plug into your own car and read trouble codes yourself. That one tool could save you thousands over the next few years. But if automakers succeed in locking down diagnostics, that freedom may not last. Third, pay attention at the state level. Right to repair is moving faster in state legislatures than it is in Washington. Dozens of states have introduced some form of right to repair legislation, and state lawmakers are often easier to reach than federal politicians. Call your state representative. Show up at local meetings. This is one area where pressure from regular people can actually matter. Fourth, watch the NHTSA impaired driver mandate. The technical rules are still being written. Those rules will decide what the car is allowed to monitor, what counts as impairment, what data gets stored, who can access it, and what can trigger vehicle intervention. Public comment periods exist for a reason. Use them. Fifth, stop rewarding automakers with new vehicle purchases. Every new car sale tells manufacturers that buyers are willing to accept subscriptions, surveillance, repair lockouts, and software control. These companies understand one language, money, and the market is already responding. The average vehicle age in America has climbed dramatically because people are holding on to cars longer. Demand for older, simpler vehicles is rising because drivers want something they can actually own, repair, and control. So if you want the industry to change, vote with your wallet. Stop buying the trap. The bigger picture, what ownership actually means. Here's the uncomfortable truth that ties all of this together. The car industry is no longer selling machines. They're selling controlled access. BMW, Tesla, Ford, and General Motors aren't just building vehicles anymore. They're building platforms. Machines tied to software, subscriptions, permissions, and remote oversight. And once a product becomes a platform, ownership starts to disappear. For most of automotive history, when you bought a car, it was yours. You drove it. You fixed it. You modified it. If you wanted to keep it running for 30 years, nobody could stop you. That idea, that your property was yours to control, is being dismantled one software update at a time. A feature can be disabled overnight. A repair can be blocked by code. A sensor can decide your driving inputs don't look right. And every single one of those changes gets sold to you as convenience, safety, or progress. The real issue isn't whether every new system is malicious. It's what happens when the infrastructure exists and the rules change later. History shows that once a system is built, it rarely stays limited to its original purpose. The same tools built for one reason get repurposed for another. That's not paranoia, that's pattern recognition. Once older vehicles disappear from the roads, once independent repair shops lose access, once every new vehicle depends on a manufacturer's server to unlock its full functionality, going back will be almost impossible. The alternative won't just be difficult, it will be gone. So before you sign anything at a dealership, ask yourself one question. Are you buying a machine? Or are you renting permission to use one? Because the answer to that question may determine whether the last vehicle you truly own is already sitting in your driveway. The car industry has changed forever, and the window to own a vehicle that is truly yours is closing fast. So I want to hear from you. Are you still buying new, or are you done with it? Drop your answer in the comments right now. If this video opened your eyes, share it with someone who is about to make a $60,000 mistake. And if you enjoyed the video, smash that like button and subscribe for more auto content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.